¿Qué onda, Miracita? Good morning to you and yours. This is DJ Easy Dick on the Jagoff Hour. The Diary of a Madman podcast. Bringing you the latest, the greatest. For that ass. Bringing you the comedies, bringing you the inside scoops and the best opinions that you love. Bringing you the shenanigans. Back to that sunshine again. Back to that sun's out, guns out, baby. Back to playing baseball. Back to the NBA Finals. Wrapping up the NBA. Wrapping up hockey. Starting up baseball. That's Alaska Airlines. I think I built that plane. Not. I used to work on 777s, the Dreamliners. I was what was I? I was a propulsion mechanic. I was in the mechanics union. I was a big deal. It was rare to get my job. It's one of the smallest shops. Good fucking shop it was, actually. Shout out to the Boeing guys who are still over there. Shout out to Will and Amanda. And fuck everybody else. Just kidding. No, miss you guys. Who else? What else is going on? I was thinking about Little League Baseball. I was in my area. There's a little baseball park literally right next to my house, and Little League is starting, right? So all these kids are playing baseball now. These little boys and little girls playing baseball. It's cool. They have this. They have two parks here actually, and they're this miniature version of a baseball park. And one of them is for the girls, and it's this little one in the back. It's so funny, and it's even smaller. Like if you've seen those parlor guitars, like you've ever seen those guitars they make for kids. I think they're called parlor guitars. Yeah. The parlor guitar versus a standard guitar, it's like 3/4 size or like half size or something like that. That's what this baseball field looks like. And got me thinking. I had the opportunity not to really like raise a kid, but I grew up. No, it wasn't. He grew up with me, right? So I got to see his formative years, right? My girlfriend's son. He was 3 or 4 years old when I first met him. He's like 8 years old now. 9 years old, maybe. Something like that, yeah. He just had his birthday in March. He just turned 8. Okay, so he's 8 years old now. Right, and I was thinking about the other stuff I was talking about yesterday, about talking about feelings and things like that, and one thing I wanted to add for all of you who are parents, or all of you who have some children in your care, Or if you just want to reflect on your own childhood and see things, right? Maybe this will resonate with you, but I do want to mention specifically raising boys, right? One of the qualms I have with my girlfriend raising her son, I don't have, I shouldn't be. It's not my son, right? So I shouldn't have to tell her how to do the job, right? But I am a man, right? She is a woman, and her son is going to be a man one day, right? And you raise men, right? They don't become men. You have to make men, right? They don't become men just like you have to teach them to be a man, right? You have to create a man. Man doesn't just grow on the side of a street. You have to cultivate it, shape it into a man. And one of the things my dad used to do when I was a little boy, and I remember how he was raising me. He beat my ass for like everything, right? Every little thing. He'd have it so strict sometimes. I'd get my ass beat for things that wasn't even my fault, right? And I remember for a long time I resented him for that. I think he preferred the fear thing more than he preferred the respect thing or the love thing, right? He's like, you're gonna fear me. He raised me like a dog, right? And, dogs in packs, they have, a hierarchy. Like he's the alpha dog, he's the top dog, he's the big dog. I'm the little runt of the litter, you know. And my brother, the way he raised us was he let us know who was in charge, right? Some people say, "Oh, poor you, you had it so rough, you had such a hard upbringing. It must have been so tough for you, right?" And it didn't take me till my 20s and my 30s to realize that what he was doing was actually really good for me, right? And I want to tell you the positives of these kind of things, right? So, my first episode, I mentioned adversity. I talked about adversity, how that's a good thing for you. Sometimes you don't choose your parents, right? You grow up with some folks who are. You grow up with folks who are. Maybe some would describe them as abusive. I never felt I was abused by my dad, right? Never felt like I was being abused. Maybe in the moment I would have I would have said something like that, but I I knew he got my back though, right? I never Maybe I never felt like I was like he showed enough affection, right? But I never for once thought that he would, just throw me out somewhere, right? I never felt abandoned, right? Like he took care of me, he fed me. He's one of the best providers. Till this day, he still helps me out. My dad is probably my hero. At the sound of, at the risk of sounding cheesy, my dad's my superhero. he's my hero. I would never tell that to him because, yeah, that's just not something you say. That affects your relationship moving forward. Like, you don't want to fucking hear that shit from a grown ass son. Maybe you do. But what I wanted to talk about was how little boys are being raised and how little girls are being raised. So it's like you definitely want to spoil your little girls. You want to tell them they're a princess. You want to tell them all those things, right? You want to give them continuous affection. You want to give them continuous love, right? And you want to listen to them. You want to, and they grow up to be really healthy women, right? Because women are just built different, right? They're that kind of stuff doesn't ruin them, right? Then you want to talk about kids who grew up in the 90s and in the 2000s who had those affectionate fathers. And some of them, I don't know, I'm probably in a minority here because I don't have children of my own, and I don't have really good representation from the opposition, right? The opposite of kind of childhoods, the affectionate childhood. Uh, but what I want to add is those little boys, they grow up kind of soft, right? They're not ready to handle any kind of opposition, right? So I knew that I can handle myself, like, right, like the bullying thing. I can handle rejection. I can handle people being mean. I can handle people being breaking balls and things like that because my dad was the biggest ball breaker that I know. Like those bullies and those mean kids, they had nothing on my dad. My dad was the ultimate bully and the ultimate mean kid. And he would belittle my accomplishments. He would say just weird things like that. And at the time, it was really hurtful. And I kind of resented him for it. But I never lost my respect for my dad. That's the thing I should add, right? There wasn't once that I saw him just over there crying or him being some like feminine little pussy, right? Like he set the standard pretty high for masculinity, right? He held it. I still look up to him till this day, right? Till this day, he never changed. He's still fucking. That's him. That's my dad. And a lot of my behavior and a lot of my strengths that I have are 100% thanks to him. Like he's instilled those things in me, right? Like my work ethic, and there's a lot of stereotypes about ENTPs that we are aloof and we're scatterbrained, we have ADHD, whatever. It's true, we do have all those things, but one thing I will add is you can still have tenacity in certain areas of your life, which is when it comes to work or when it comes to getting something done, being consistent, or waking up in the morning and showing up to work, showing up to school. All those things you can learn to do, right? Doesn't matter if you have ADHD or you're scatterbrained. You can learn tenacity. You can learn discipline. And if you are fortunate enough to have a father to teach you those things, you're already ahead of like every kid from the 80s. You're already top 25% if you have discipline in your life, right? And my dad, he never signed me up for sports. He never signed me up for things like that. But he still taught me in his own way, right? Like, cause he doesn't know American culture. He doesn't know, that baseball can teach you those things, right? Or football can teach you, or taekwondo or karate, whatever. He tried to teach me in his own ways, and it worked, for better or for worse. He taught me, to not be soft. I like to goof off. It's because I can. I'm comfortable goofing off because, I'm not hiding anything. This is me goofing off. You could make fun of me or say some things that are hurtful to me. That doesn't faze me, right? Because I've heard way worse probably from my dad, right? I've heard way worse from my bosses. I've heard probably the way worse I've heard from myself. I'm my own harshest critic. Like I dare you to checkmate me on myself, right? I hold myself way harsher than anyone that I recently met, right? And I think those boys, they grow up to be the healthiest kind of citizens. Maybe they're just not emotionally healthy, or but it all works out, right? So like you learn ways to deal with it. Like some guys go really I know I did. I went destructive for a while. I let the hound dog loose. I went on a hound dog spree, sowing your wild oats. I know I had my wild decade. I got it out. I still have some wilderness in me. The call of the wild still calls to me sometimes. And I know I shouldn't be acting like a fucking teenager anymore, but I'm not immune to the call of the wild, right? I partied, you know, and people would say, "Yeah, that's your childhood, that's your trauma, whatever you're dealing with it. That's yeah, whatever." Sure. But I will say another thing. And I was watching these kids playing baseball yesterday. I was remembering my girlfriend's son. I was remembering myself. I was remembering my brothers, remembering just my dad. I had these epiphanies yesterday. Maybe I was under the substance of something that made me think that, but I don't know. I plead the fifth on that. Maybe some substances affected my thought process, but just kidding. I wasn't under any substances other than chocolate ice cream. The chocolate got me. I was thinking, let me finish this fucking thought. Jesus Christ. I'm so fucking bad at finishing thoughts. Um, if you if you are mean to your kid, it's the best thing you can do for him, right? Because you're preparing him for the worst, right? So you've heard that I think it's the military that do something similar, right? So you've been to those, you've seen those movies where they go to the boot camp. And if you've served, then thank you for your service. I haven't served, but I know enough about military from media and stuff like that. So if you want to enlist, what they have you do is you go to boot camp and you got your drill sergeant and he just shouts at you and he just breaks you down, right? And then they build you back up and you become an effective soldier, right? So a dad can do something similar to his son, right? I think that's one parenting style. And it works. I mean, there's definitely drawbacks to it. Like you do have some, maybe you have some emotional issues or something like that, or trauma, whatever you want to call it. It's traumatizing, right? But life is traumatizing, right? Life throws you curveballs, right? You can't blame it all on your parents. You can't blame it all on your president and on your governor and on your boss, right? There's gonna be curveballs in your life. There's gonna be rainy days in your life, and your dad, he does you a huge favor when he berates you or whatever. He's building you to have some resilience and tenacity to just kind of get up and keep going, right? He knocks you down so you can get up again, right? He teaches you all those things, and I think the best kind of kids come from those kind of households. Ones where they're not spoiled, they're not. Yeah, I think just praising your children too much is actually bad for them, right? These kids, they get hurt easier when they face opposition, right? They they realize when they come out to the real world and they come out in the working world, people take advantage of soft children, right? Maybe soft's not the word, maybe kind children. People take advantage of those really easy. And they have a little bit of a harder time adjusting. And usually they build up a shell, right? Like a protective shell. Or they work out with some different strategies to deal with that kind of thing. But usually takes them a few years to get to that point. Whereas those kids who grow up with those dads, right? Those mean dads, what they call them. It's just one type of parenting. Like, I think love is the best thing you can do, right? But I'm saying if you didn't receive enough love, then maybe look at it from a different way and realize that it is a form of love. It's a tough love, right? It is still love. It's just your dad, he had the foresight to see. He noticed you. Of course your dad knows you, dude. Of course he knows you. He'll play like, oh, you think, oh, my dad doesn't understand me. My parents don't know me. Dude, they know you as good as you know yourself. Probably better than you know yourself, right? Of course they know you, dude. They know exactly where you're going to go. They know exactly what you're going to do. Because you came from your dad's ball sack. Think about that. Think about that for a second. Of course he knows you, right? And maybe with his wisdom, he had the foresight to see the areas where you can really improve, right? Like he probably saw that I was running my mouth too much. That's why he checked me, right? Because he knew that I'd get my ass beat a lot if I just keep talking shit. You know, you don't be out there talking shit to people, right? Just be respectful. He probably saw that I was running my mouth too much, so he checked me immediately. And now I have one of the easiest times getting along with men, right? Getting along with people, getting along with kids, right? Because I learned how to, filter myself at times, or to stand up for myself at other times when it calls for it, right? And that's thanks to my dad. Thank you, Dad. Maybe someday you'll hear this. I don't know if I'm ready to just go and get all touchy-feely right now with you, and I don't think I'd ever will. I don't think you'd appreciate that. I think you would just appreciate a nod, like a nod of approval. He'd appreciate a handshake or something like that. And I want to thank my dad for all the things he's done and all the sacrifices he's made for me. It didn't really register with me till much later in life. And I still find myself sometimes blaming my dad for things, but then I have to catch myself and realize, wait a minute, it's not true, that's not true, right? I'm not being in denial, right? Like, sure, of course I wish for things could have been a little bit easier, right? Of course, like, who wouldn't? But overall, right, nobody's perfect, right? So it's like, don't oh man, be grateful. It's hard to be grateful sometimes, and I am being grateful, right? I want to say thank you to my dad. That's all. I'm just gonna leave that alone now. 24 minutes in. $24 minutes. There we go. Such a long way to go. What else have we been talking about? Mm. Mm-mm-mm. That's that good shit. What else have we been talking about? What else is on your mind? Side hustles, right? So, I think it's only appropriate that we mention side hustles and starting businesses. I am an ENTP. If you buy that fucking shit, that MBTI shit, I know some people are take it or leave it with it. Some people are just strong no. Like my brother, he just tunes out as soon as I start talking about that stuff. He's not about that theory shit, you know. Some people are all about that theory shit. I'm somewhere in between, right? But if you are an ENTP as well, or if you've heard of these types, it's extroverted, intuitive, thinking, perceiving, whatever. There's certain stereotypes about us. Like, for example, the younger ENTPs and myself, we're just kind of anti authority. We just have a issue with authority, right? We're kind of independent thinkers. We're kind of independent to a fault. We're kind of rebels or whatever. And that's a common thing amongst ENTPs. I'm not just pulling your leg here. If you don't buy into that theory, at least understand that there is a behind all this MBTI shit, there's this framework largely based on Carl Jung. It's called cognitive functions. And this one is a lot more accepted, right? So there are cognitive functions: extroverted, introverted, intuition, feeling, right? And cognitive functions are just the way that your brain operates, just the way your brain processes information. And it's largely static. Or what's the word? Stationary. It's largely fixed, right? You don't really vary too much in the way you process the information. You kind of learn, some people say it's a little bit of a nature versus nurture debate. Some people say you're already an ENTP in the womb. It's just the way your brain is structured. It's like genetics type of thing. The way you perceive the world. So some people say you learn your personality like in your youth, or when you're still embryo, or when you're still in the womb. That's like the last thing that is formed. One of the latest things that are formed while you're still in the womb is your personality, right? It's so fascinating, this stuff, right? You ever seen those videos? You've seen how that sperm and the egg, how they are made, and then how they multiply, and it goes 2, 4, 8, 16, and it goes all the way up to your modern you. Like, you already have a heartbeat like at 2 months in or something like that. And how it's all formed, it's crazy stuff. If you've ever seen that kind of thing, you ever seen how those babies are born and how they're made, it is phenomenal. It is unbelievable kind of shit that happens in there. How intricate it is, and how long it takes to create an adult, to from sperm all the way to 30 years old. How much shit had to happen for you to be at your current self? That's just mind-boggling. It's a miracle, right? It just makes you appreciate life more. Like how rare it is, right? It's like 1 in a billion chance, like 1 in 30 billion chance that you're even born at all, right? How much of your sperm brethren had to die? How much of them ended up in a Kleenex? How much of them ended up in a tube sock? Not you though. Everybody that's alive ended up in the pussy where, and you created your modern you. So take a moment to just appreciate that for a second. You already won the lottery, right? Just by existing. It's so fucking amazing. And if you're in America, it's a double lottery. Imagine if you were born in China right now. If you were a little girl in China or something. Or if you were uh, in Ukraine still, or some, if you were one of those Ukrainian babies being born in those bunkers, those anti-bomb bunkers, right? One of those fallout kids, fallout shelter. One of those war-torn countries. Mm. Take a moment to appreciate all those things right now. Sometimes we forget how good it is, right? Zoom out a little bit and just see things, right? Like none of that shit matters. Like, oh, my life is over right now. I didn't get my promotion. Oh, my life is over right now. My crush at school didn't accept my friend invite. My life is over. The hottest girl in school, she said no to me. My life is over. No, it's not, dude. Get over yourself, dude. Your life is not over, okay? Zoom out, right? Zoom out and see things how they actually are. The hottest girl in school is probably not even the hottest girl. She's just probably hot because you can't have her, right? She's probably like a 6 masquerading as an 8, right? Think about those nerdy girls, right? The ones with the glasses, right? Think about those girls. They're the biggest freaks in my experience. Freak a leak. Freak a leak. Fast forward to 20s and 30s, right? Those are the true 8s right there. They're smart, they're hot, they grow into their bodies. They're, the ugly duckling situation happens all the time. It happens with boys and girls. You don't want to peak in high school or middle school. Um, you don't want that attention and that affection all at once. It's incredibly harmful for your development. You always meet those people who are a little more reserved, a little bit more. They're okay with like self-deprecating humor and things like that. Those are the people you want in your life, right? You don't want those entitled folks, right? They're just broken inside. You don't want those superficial folks, the ones who got everything right away. They have very little depth, if at all, right? You want those. You want those nerdy, take the glasses off, and turns out they're hot girls, right? Or maybe leave the glasses on if you're into that kind of thing. Just giving you the Fog Eye girl. You guys know about Fog Eye? You know about Fog Eye? Who was it? Man, there's this lyric. I need to look this up for you. Okay. You guys ever heard of this artist called Bootsy? Collins. Bootsy. What a fucking legend, dude. What a fucking Mac this guy was, right? And you've probably heard the song I'd Rather Be With You. It's an iconic song. Fucking one of the best songs out there. One of the best producers out there, but I'd rather be with you. Yeah. Yeah, I'd rather be with you. One of my favorite quotes from that song, one of my favorite lyrics, is at the very end, the outro. Bootsy, he's just riffing, right? He's talking about, he's just being funny, right? Well, you might think I'm trying to be funny, but I'm really serious this time, baby. And it's doing the intro. I'd rather be with you, yeah. And he's just riffing into the mic, and he's saying, even though it's a cold world, baby, but you know deep down inside that I do love you. And he's talking to all the nerdy girls with their glasses, right? They're the biggest freaks. Everybody knows that. I know I sound strange, but I really mean it. We're gonna make it this time, babe. What a fucking Mac, dude. Literally. If you ever have any trouble speaking to girls, if you're out there and you're afraid, I know it's a very common thing right now for the younger guys to really go out there and shoot some game at these women, right? This is the Me Too era that we're living in. It's a lot harder for us out there, but it's not. It's still easy. It's like if you got game, you don't have anything to worry about, right? And if you don't have game, then you can learn game, right? You can learn game from the max. The best players. There was a hierarchy, right? There was a hierarchy of players in game. If you had the pro league, if you had the NFL, and you had the semi-pros, and you had college, and you had high school, the top of the game is our brothers. They're the NFL. Those guys have the best game, hands down. Closely followed by the Latinos. The Latino men also have a lot of game, right? And then you got your white guys, you know, the rich guys, whatever. Not as much game, right? They have a little bit. I'd say the whites from like Eastern Europe do better with women than just like American whites. Nothing against Americans, but you know, you got your country guys, your little country boys, your big country boys, they do pretty all right, yeah. You got your foreigners. Then you have your Arabs, you know, not so good, not great. They're not great at game. You got your Asian guys. I'm sorry to break it to you guys, you're just not that good. You're just not great at game. And of course, you got the new generation, which has absolutely no game at all. You guys make me sad, actually. You guys are afraid to go out and say hi to your coworkers or something. Like, I don't know what that's all about, but I got some good news for you. I got some excellent news for you. You can learn game, right? You don't have to be gameless forever. You can learn it. If I learned it as a nerdy white kid, and if I can pull 8s and 7s and sometimes 9s, if I can pull Latinas, dude, and all kinds. I've been blessed with all kinds of women's. If I can do it, so can you, right? And you can learn just like I did. You can learn from the Max. You can learn from Bootsy Collins. You can learn from Bernie Mac. You can learn from your boss. If you're blessed enough to have a boss at work to teach you these kind of things, you can learn too, right? Just, just talking about the outro, and he's just riffing, right? I'd rather be with you. Yeah. Listen to that shit. Listen to that. Curtis Mayfield. Listen to Bootsy Collins. Listen to Iceberg Slim. Listen to these fellas. You're the only one I really love now. You say shit like that, right? Say it, dude. Say it with me. I'm coming at you with both hands tied behind my back, baby. You can say it literally like that, verbatim, like a script, like you're selling something on the phone. Like you're one of those telephone marketer guys. At first, you don't have to have any skill. You can just literally take the script and just repeat it. And it's that powerful, right? It works. And then later you'll learn game. But at first, if you're just starting out, just do this script, right? I'd rather be with you. Yeah. You can see me coming, baby. Just coming all over you. I'm gonna stick my love in your eye, baby, so you can see me coming. You got me now. I'm coming at you. Get ready. If you are a hound dog like myself, you will just naturally find other hound dogs, right? And you will find this shit funny. Birds of a feather, they stick together, right? The hound dogs, they run in packs. You will find other hound dogs, and you guys can laugh about this together. Bootsy Collins, he's a super successful man. Very funny dude. But yeah, if a white kid like me can learn that kind of shit and succeed, right? Suck the seed. If I can suck the seed. No, we're not sucking seed, guys. Don't suck seed. But do succeed, though. Okay? Don't suck seed, but do succeed in your journey. Another guy I wanted to tell you about is Bernie Mac. Bernie. What a life he had, too. What a great dude. What a funny dude. He had some real adversity, too. He had a tough upbringing, of course. He had a tough childhood. And yeah, you see, like, the best guys come out from those situations, right? So God has enough wisdom, to give you all those opportunities early in life to develop you into that person later in life, right? If Bernie was born into a family with money, you think he'd be that admired today by white kids? Do you think white kids will like Bernie Mac if he was just another trust fund baby, right? Do you think those rock stars that you look up to would be as successful Do you think they'd push as hard? Do you think they'd want it as much if everything was just handed to them, right? Of course, there's exceptions to the rule, you know. You bend somebody far enough, they will break. Everyone has a breaking point, right? Those some kids, uh, they have too much. They have too much adversity, like not enough support, right? They stand no chance in this world. Uh, they need they need to get out of those situations immediately. I'm not talking about those kids. I'm talking about the kids who are making a mountain out of a molehill, right? I'm talking about the privileged kids who are not seeing, how good they have it, right? I'm talking about those kids. Majority of the children, right? Majority of the adults as well. We have a lot of QQers in this society of ours. And by QQ, I mean, type in QQ on your keyboard and look at it. And then put one and two together. QQ just means crying, just crying eyes, right? We have QQers in this world. Some of y'all don't even have electricity in your house right now. And you're still getting up and going to work every day like it's nothing, right? Those are the kind of people I respect, right? Those are the people that are making it happen every day. They're not the ones out there going out asking for handouts, right? And those people who, they're not QQing. Those are the people who I want in my life. I don't want those people who have everything you can ask for and they're just sad about one little thing that they're missing, right? I don't want to hear that shit, right? Whatever happened to Gary Cooper, the strong, silent type? That's all you hear these days. Dysfunction this, dysfunction that, wafangu. We need ADHD medication for our children. We need Ritalin and Adderall for our children. Shut the fuck up, okay? Those aren't real problems, okay? Shut up. Nobody wants to fucking hear that shit, okay? Shut your bitch ass up. And count your blessings, right? Be grateful for what you have. I'm saying this to myself first and foremost. Of course, every time I say this, I'm including myself in there. The world is not ending. Shut the fuck up, okay? Maybe it is ending, but that doesn't give you an excuse to QQ about it, dude. Nobody owes you shit, first of all. You're not entitled to things, right? You have to understand, think about it. Before going on to another rant and then into another tangent, I will just cover this thing real quick. People had to build this society, right? Out of nothing. There were just a bunch of pilgrims that came here on the Mayflower. They had to fight off a bunch of savage Indians who were just raiding them nonstop. And they were just ass fucking them. and scalping them and stuff. They they had to survive many winters with harsh weather, right? They had a lot of adversities, and then they built this beautiful country we have today. Those are the guys that built it, right? Those are the guys that fought those wars. All those things had to happen for us to enjoy the freedoms we have today, right? And none of that is free. Like, somebody had to make that happen. That didn't just happen by itself. You were born into this wealth. You were born into this great country, right? You were handed this great hand in cards, right? Basically a straight. You were handed a straight. You were handed a flush. um, but you don't deserve any of that shit, right? Nobody deserves this kind of stuff, right? Nobody owes you shit. So just be grateful, right? I mean, don't be that kind of person who people can take advantage of. Like, know your worth. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about nobody owes you shit in the first place. Have that mentality, right? Different from knowing your worth. Different thing I'm talking about. Like, if you do bring something to the table, if you have a skill set, or if you have some kind of perspective that you bring to the table, you should definitely be compensated equally for that. You know, don't settle for less, right? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about if you worked hard for something, then you know, get your dues, right? You reap what you sow, right? Those are the hard truths. We love those kind of things, right? We like meritocracy. We love merit. Let each man be given what he worked for, whatever that saying is. But most of us, we've been given more than what we deserve, right? What a beautiful thing that is, right? Let's take a moment to appreciate that for a second. Appreciate America. Appreciate the boys who made it happen. The founding fathers. All those guys that came together made it happen. We hear too much QQing about it. Stop QQing. And on that note, I think I'm gonna wrap it up here. I'll give you one more thing to think about before I go. This is a quote from the great Bernard Mack. Bernie. He said, "The only way you can get upset is when you're expecting something." If you're out there QQing, then you will just set yourself up for being upset all the time. Because you're always expecting someone to give you things. If you stop doing that, then you're just gonna be more grateful by default, right? And I hope you enjoyed this podcast. We're gonna still stick to our guns. We're gonna still call this the Diary of a Madman podcast. And as always, stay safe, stay healthy, stay beautiful, stay grateful, stay humble. I'm saying this to myself as well. Signing out. Peace and pussy grease.